everyone, and welcome to number 5 in my Halloween series. So I used the Pumpkin Brigida image and I had stamped her onto CC Designs Copic Quality 80-pound white cardstock. I colored her in with Copic markers. I didn't film that. It was just, I was having kind of one of those days, and literally this card has taken me over a week to make because I've done it. I had it planned out here and there in bits and pieces, and then finally got a chance to color it, but didn't film it, and yeah, it's just been a gong show lately. So I thought I'd film at least the actual putting together of the card. So yeah, colored her up to match the Doodlebug Designs, the Halloween Parade 6x6 papers, which I absolutely love. I love their colors and graphics and just everything. I love these papers, they're fun. So I cut 2 papers for the card front, and then I'm using my MFT Blueprint 6 Dynamics, and I'm actually following one of their layouts, which I will link to in my blog post. And I die cut the little scalloped piece with some Doodlebug cardstock, and then I used another one of the Blueprints dies to die cut what I thought was actually a polka dot pattern paper in the set, but if you look really close, it's actually little teeny tiny stars. And I wanted that to be framed, so I I trimmed a piece of just a light green cardstock just so that it was framed a little bit and didn't blend right into the other pattern papers, because it just kind of did that when I was playing around with the layout of this card. So did that, and then I'm lucky that the way I adhered that little strip of pattern paper, I was able to slip this kind of underneath because I didn't want it to cover the scallops. I wanted them to stand out a little bit more. So once I had that, I die cut 2 little buttons, again, just from the Blueprints 6 Dynamic set. And I just used the same purple cardstock that I'm using to mat my card front, and then adhered those with Tombow Mono Multi. Though I was going to sew them onto the card front because I thought that would be really cute with 2 little teeny bows, but I changed my mind on that because I was going to use these rhinestones, which I'm pretty sure came with last year's Doodlebug collection. Yeah, 2012. I couldn't remember, but yeah, I bought these last year, never got a chance to use them, so since it's Doodlebug, everything, matches. So I thought I'd use them this year. So I did that, and then of course Doodlebug twine on, tied on the card front where the scallops are, and then my go-to black dimensionals for this little Pumpkin Brigida to pop her up a little bit so she stands out a little bit more. So once I've got that in place, I decided to not do any sentiments on this card front. Shocking, I know, but sometimes who knows what goes through my head sometimes, but I thought this time I would let the main image just speak for herself. So put tape on the back of the twine so that my ATG didn't catch on it, and then I'm just adhering that to my card, which is the same green cardstock I used to mat that little main image square there, rectangle, sorry. And then on the inside of the card, keeping it pretty simple, I'm going to follow the same layout-ish since it's already done for you. Use the same pattern papers as I used on the front, but this time I just added a little strip of that star pattern paper, and then I die cut just a piece of white cardstock with that little rectangle die from the Blueprint set. And then I inked up the Pumpkin Brigida with Memento Tangelo ink, and I'm just going to stamp it off once on scratch paper so that it is not so bright. Because I just want a fainter outline of this little main image on that so that you can write your sentiments and everything right over it, and that's not going to, compete because you still need a place to write something on the inside of the card. So I did that, and then the sentiment is from my Witchful Thinking stamp set. And I always kind of line up my sentiments as straight as possible on my blocks using the grid lines as my guide, and that way I don't need to always use a stamp positioner. Sometimes you have to no matter what. But sometimes if you can line it up straight enough, then you can just do it like so and not have to fiddle around too much. So you stamp that with my go-to stamp ink for sentiments, my VersaFine Onyx Black. And that was it for the inside of the card. Like I said, kept it simple. You don't want to put too much on the inside of the card because one, it'll make it too bulky, and two, like you've already spent a ton of time outside, but you still got to finish the inside. It's got to have something going on there. So got that done, and then adhered that. And then of course I had to bling up the front, so I grabbed 3 bottles of stickles. I'm going to use purple, lime green, and orange peel. And the whole thing with the stickles is, especially the darker ones like the purple that aren't very translucent, like they're solid colored glitter, I used a really light hand. I'm barely squeezing it at all. And on her hair, I definitely did not want to cover up all the coloring I did, because, you know, I went to so much effort to make it look the way it did. So by covering it up with stickles, that would defeat the whole purpose. So I'm basically just kind of dragging the tip of the applicator through the hair, and then in some parts not even squeezing the bottle at all, and just using the tip to drag the stickles down, just to add to move the glitter around a bit and not completely cover up all the coloring I did. That, and also it's easier this way because it dries faster, so you're not globbing on tons of stickles and making a huge mess. And then I just use the tip of my scissors to scrape away any of the spots that I went over the lines or where I don't want stickles, because you can do that while it's still wet. Just don't use too much pressure so you don't like actually scratch up the image you just finished coloring. And then with the lime green, just really, really lightly, like barely any added to the little leaf and her candy and the faces of the pumpkins. And then with my favorite go-to orange peel, I love this one for Halloween. It is just a perfect shade of orange. Just dab that into place where I wanted it. This one has a fair bit of color in it too, so I try to go light with that as well. And also when you use a lighter hand, you don't warp the cardstock as much. Whereas if you glob it on a lot, because stickles has so much liquid in it, as it dries, it can warp your cardstock and then it's going to be all bent and you're just going to have a big mess. So using a light touch makes it a lot nicer in my opinion. So yeah, that's all there was to it. And as always, there'll be a link below to my blog post with links to supplies used. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!